Hi, everybody out in YouTube, Facebook, social media land. Welcome to tonight's Glow. We are in episode 11, ladies. I don't know if you knew
Woohoo!
that.
Wow.
That's almost a year of
That's
glows.
exactly. Um, so we're really excited to come to you tonight. You're going to notice that we are -1. Jamie went with her church to help with the flood victims. So I don't know if she's already back or if she's on her way back, but that was pretty extensive for her. And I know that she worked really, really hard with her and her husband while they were out there. So bless her for doing that. We're nice
Totally.
to know that we have people like that in our world. All right, so tonight we're talking about beyond our friends and family. I'm sure that the other ladies are going to say, yes, I agree with you, Edie. We get asked a lot, well, what happens when I don't have any more friends and family to sell to? And one of my responses I usually say, and it's kind of to break the ice, I suppose, but I always say, well, if Walmart only sold to their friends and family, and they expected the friends and family to be the ones who bought from them all the time or maybe told somebody else about it, they would no longer be in business. And so if we stay with our friends and family, then that's as far as we're going to go with our business, and there won't be any growth for us. So I think it's important that we learn different strategies as to how to get beyond our friends and family so that we can grow a business and we can recruit and we can get more parties. So we're going to start off tonight with, I'm going to just kind of go along the bottom. First of all, just quick introductions. We have our Miss Christina.
Hello.
Hey. And Miss Dawn.
Hello.
And Miss Katie
Hey, everyone.
with her beautiful fashion glasses on. Ooh. All right, so we're going to go in that same order, talking about these ways to be able to get past our friends and family. And so Christina's going to talk to us a little bit about volunteering, garage sale sites, using online a little bit to get past that barrier of a small circle of friends and family. So Christina, whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi. All right, so yeah, definitely probably one of the biggest things I get from people. They'll be like, well, my mom just bought last month and all my friends are tapped out. And I'm like, well, why are you still selling to your mom and your friends? You should be moved past that. Honestly, my very biggest tip is you probably didn't have a launch party, so you need to go do that because your focus at your launch party is to get bookings from your friends who then invite people you don't know who you get bookings from. So go have a new launch party, and that's the most simple thing you can do to meet new people is book parties at your launch party and book parties at those parties, and then you officially know 1,000 people you didn't know before. It just takes a little bit of legwork. But some more slightly non-conventional ways, unconventional, to meet people that you didn't know before without a launch party, even though you need to go have a launch party. This is not instead of. This is in addition to, because you want to be the biggest boss in all of the universe, and you want total world domination. After that awesome launch party, this is what you can do next. I personally have a lot of success selling my belongings on garage sale sites. I like to sell my clothes, all my baby stuff. I like to sell knickknacks from around the house because I really like to buy new things. And we like to just declutter and then fill up our clutter again. So I like to do all of that. That's pretty much what I like to do. But the cool thing is when people come over to my house, because I always either have them come to my house or I meet them at Chick-fil-A. Those are my two places, and I have them come to my house if they look legit. Like I totally stalk their Facebook profiles because then my house smells good, and I always have a bag ready for whoever comes to pick up their stuff full of a catalog, laundry samples, regular samples. Sometimes if I'm feeling really generous, I'm like, oh, guess what? Here is a plug-in warmer I don't use anymore. Would you want this? Like, I'll just throw it in for free. And here's a bar of wax. Why not? Like, I'm really generous. Like, if it's like one that I like used forever but cleaned out and I'm just not interested in, I will throw in crazy bonus awesomeness. And then they call me because they need more wax. So I didn't sell my warmer on a garage sale site. I sold like a picture frame that I didn't like anymore, and then I gave one of my warmers away. Because I was like, hey, have you heard of Scentsy? If they said no, I'm like, well, here you go. Now you have some Scentsy. And I would give that to them with a bar, usually this on the month because we get those for like, what is it, $1.80 after commission. So I don't mind giving them that. But I always give them so much swag. Like they're going to get a catalog. They're going to get samples out their ears. They're going to get one of my little iParty Wickless koozies. They're going to get my pen, my magnet, all kinds of things that people don't like to throw away. That's what I like to give people. And then I give them my Scentsy story and things like that, and we talk about Scentsy. They usually always add me on Facebook before they've left my house. So they know I'm their Scentsy girl now. Oh, and also here's this picture frame you bought, but I'm your Scentsy girl now. Like, and it's just, I love to sell my stuff so that I can make new friends. I'm buying my customers, right? So I sell stuff a lot. Anytime I sell something like in a buy-sell trade group that has to be shipped, I always send a ton of crap in there with the item I'm shipping. Anytime I ship something to anybody that's not Scentsy related, Scentsy stuff goes in it. And I will find ways to get that all in there. And I always add them as a friend because friends are friends and friends. They usually say yes because we just had a positive interaction, and now they're going to see my Scentsy Facebook posts and things like that. I don't actually post about my business in buy-sell trade groups. Is that weird? I just don't. I'm just active in them. So I sell my stuff and I get to know people that way instead. So buy-sell trade groups are my favorite way to get to meet new people. I don't know is anyone talking about Facebook groups or no?
You can go ahead and talk about it if you'd like.
Okay, I want to talk about Facebook groups as well. I also join groups based on all my interests as well. So I will join, for a while, I was pretty active in a Doctor Who geekery style group that I met some fun people in. Those buy-sell trade groups, like I said, are a great way to meet people, especially if you see some of the same people and they sell some of the same stuff, or say I have a baby right now, so if I see someone who's constantly selling clothes that my daughter is about to go into, I'm like, we're going to be friends because you can just let me know when you have stuff because you have the best clothes and I will take them all and let's just hang out. But groups relating to your interests, I'm in baby groups, like birth clubs for both my kids. They're some of my best friends. I remember back when I had my son, a lot of those girls joined my team because I got to stay home with him through Scentsy. And so, it was really fun to kind of work on our goals together. So birth boards are some of my favorites. Anything that you're interested in, go find. Like I found like a Doctor Who group that was really active that I got to be interested in and active in. There's a bunch of groups. I can't remember some of the other ones that I'm active in. There's some for crafting. Anything that you're super interested in, go join that group. The thing is, I'm not promoting my business in this group. I'm just chatting with people and getting to know them and responding and taking time to comment on things. I'm being active in the group, taking genuine interest in other people's lives. We become friends on Facebook, and the rest is history. They like what I got. Online is a really great way to connect with people. And that's not by posting flyers all the time or, posting about your business in random places or spamming groups and not taking any active interest in them. It's actually finding people, being the person to make the first move, and just really connecting with people unrelated to Scentsy, because Scentsy is going to happen anyway. It just does. People get interested when they see you posting about it after you've already connected on a really genuine level. And then my other tip is volunteering in places, getting involved in your community, getting involved in your church, joining a team at your church. Like I do, I do check-in for our Gen Kids ministry. So I've met a lot of people there. I like to volunteer at my son's school whenever I can so that I'm meeting other moms. I'm always branded in the car line so that whoever's behind me has to read all about my Scentsy business. But I find ways to get plugged in. So join a MOPS group or join any sort of a networking group. That it doesn't have to even be based on a business kind of networking. You can join a book club. You can join a running group. There's a lot of groups that moms will push their strollers and run together. Join something like that. Go take classes somewhere. So say you're really interested in the piano, but you've never learned to play. Go take piano lessons. Go get out there in the world meet new people who are interested in the same things that you're interested in. Your kids' schools are a great place to plug in. You can do donations, you can give teacher gifts, but you can also just volunteer to help people so you get connected with other moms on a genuine friendship level, and then they're going to find your business through that eventually. But yeah, church is a really great place. Volunteer on a team, do a host team, and it's not like you're trying to sell to people at your church. You need to start just building relationships with human beings. I mean, if you run out of every person you know in 1 month, you need to go get out there and meet some people and give back to the world and give back to your community and actually start giving, and then you're going to receive things in return just because of how much you start giving to the world and to your community and to your church and your school and everything that's around you. Your sphere of influence is just going to increase naturally. So if you stay home all the time and you're just on Facebook all the time and not really doing anything person to person, that might be why you're not meeting people very easily. If you're just really just hanging out and sticking in your tiny little circle where it's safe. So get out of where it's safe. So I volunteer a lot of places. I try to get, be out in the community. Like if there's like a thing in our town, like we have a small town, it's really adorable. It's like a small little big town. So they have a lot of little festivals and things like that on our town square by the courthouse. Go to that stuff. Like if you have that kind of stuff near you, just go to that. You don't even have to be a vendor. Like you don't have to buy a booth. You don't have to be a vendor. Just go. Carry your little Scentsy tote with samples and things like that and just go meet people. Mingle with the people of your town. Be branded and just have genuine conversations because someone's going to ask you about Scentsy. They just will. So I would say most of my contacts aren't even made by being the Scentsy booth there, but by being a Scentsy person amongst the people that are there. So if you don't have a lot of money for booths, you can just be your own booth on your body and just go meet people, go hang out. So that's my thing. There you go.
I want to add something too, Christina, because you were talking about groups and building relationships, and that's kind of where my topic's going to end up going. But
yeah,
I think it's so important for people to understand that people buy from people they trust. So having that relationship built in the first place is where that trust is going to come from. So if you just barge into a group and you're like, oh, I sell Scentsy, I'm a Scentsy lady, you should buy from me.
they're going to kick you out.
Yeah, they're going to kick you out, or they're just going to be like, oh, this woman wants to push her product. Yeah, exactly. And it's the same thing with other platforms too, like YouTube. I did a lot of building relationships on YouTube by going to people's channels that talk about things that I'm interested in, whether it's gardening or crafting or makeup or whatever the interest that you have, the common interest that you have, commenting on those videos and building relationships with those people, right? So, I think that's just very important, and I'm glad that you brought it up because the relationship part is where it will start to grow. Otherwise, it's just going to be luck or chance if they buy from you.
Instagram is similar.
I love what she said too about going to events. I'm always saying that. It's like people are like, I can't afford events. That's okay. Like go branded. Hey, got your hoodie on, whatever, and carry around a cute little basket filled with samples. Like, what's wrong with doing that? Like,
and you know what?
Like candy.
One year we had a neighboring town that had a parade for the 4th of July, and I think it was free to be in it. And Ben drove the Scentsy mobile, and me and some of the other girls went around and handed out samples with business cards just along the street. I mean, it was fun. It was amazing. We got a lot of business from it, and it was just meeting people and shaking hands and, kissing babies and doing all that political stuff.
Yeah, all of our town parades are like, maybe $20 or free to be in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just check your parades and like just stuff like that you can do for cheap or free. Just be a person, be branded walking around events. I do that all the time. We have a really big event locally that I just can't afford the booth space. Not only can I not afford it, they always allow about 5 or 6 consultants in. And I'm like, I don't want to set up a booth for that price with 6 other Scentsy ladies. What I do is I actually go to each Scentsy booth and I talk to them and I get to know them. And sometimes I buy something from them, especially if they have scents that are like really far discontinued that I haven't been able to get for a while or that I know my customers love. So I just spend some time with them and get to know them. But I'm going to walk around branded. I've got, my bag with samples and stuff. And, if somebody asks me, I don't like actively pass it out. Or if someone's looking for Scentsy, I point them to the booth, But if somebody stops me and asks me, I pass them out some stuff. I'll give them stuff. I don't care. And I don't pay for that booth because I like to really enjoy that festival. I really love festivals, so I don't usually like to be at a booth at a festival. I like to be mingling. So, but yeah, and
Right.
that's free.
Yeah, good tips, really good tips. So speaking about sampling, Miss Dawn is going to speak about utilizing samples in so many different ways.
And I want to touch on something Christina and Edie both said about branding. You know, branding your vehicle with just having your website and the fact that you are a Sensi consultant, that is like outdoor advertising at its best, because you are driving around the places that you go all the time anyway, that women who probably have similar interests are going. And I just get these people that say, oh, you know, like you said, I can't get past this group. I'm like, so you need to make the, you know, website bigger on the back of your vehicle. Oh, you don't have anything on your vehicle. Well, now that's a good place to start. Okay, because that doesn't cost very much at all. So yeah, branding your vehicle is key. So that's my little tip. Now back to sampling. I love samples. And just today, someone on the director group was talking about a little bit of frustration that she had with giving out the big molded samples, like saying, hey, who wants samples? And then all these people say, oh, I do, I do, I do. And she ends up having to mail them. Or you know, people are getting samples but never really purchasing from her. Well, I kind of do it a little bit differently. You know, I do the felt samples. So right out of the gate, I am getting a good value. And I make them cute, and I make them interesting, and I always do 3. Can you see that? My little leaf? 3 different scents. So that way you're marketing more than one thing, and you have to choose ones that are appealing visually and that also complement each other on your shape. You don't have to buy shapes. I do buy shapes, and I buy from Jan at Pear Creek Cottage, but you could also buy sheets of felt and cut them, which is ultimately the most affordable. But the reason that I do these is because you're going to kind of weed out those people that have a tendency to be gimme, 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 but then they're buying from somewhere else, just scooping up your samples. So what I do is I staple on my contact card onto my little zip baggie with the sample. And I mean, I give these out everywhere, and I'm going to get to that in just a second, but I make it something that they need to keep in their purse. Card, baggie, felt dip, the whole thing. Throw it in your purse. Because this one stupid little thing that costs pennies to make and dip will be in their purse with your contact information on it. I mean, they get out their wallet. If it's like leather or whatnot, they're like, oh my God, my wallet smells so good. I mean, it makes your whole purse, one of these little things makes your whole purse smell totally amazing. But I give these out everywhere I go. And I make a little bundle. Can you see this? Okay. There are 5 of my doodads in there. This is how I increase my distribution stream, or my distribution system, because, and I always face it with the doodad out. That's why there's 5. And I put them like card to card, sample to sample, card to card, sample to sample. And the reason that I do that is because sometimes, depending upon how you have your business cards made, you know, the wax could turn it a funny color or something, just even though it's stapled to the outside, that could happen. So that's why I have mine like that. But it says on here that you have been nominated to be a fragrance fairy. And basically, I'm giving you 5 of these. Keep one in your own purse. There's 4 to pass to your friends, coworkers, mother-in-law, whatnot. So now, instead of giving out 1 sample per person, you're turning them into little fragrance fairies, and they're increasing their distribution level, which is kind of cool. So that is my tip on how to get past the person you're handing it to, by giving them 5. And like, I make them up like ahead of time and put them in the little bag, but then I have them wrapped in foil, okay? Because foil is the ultimate fragrance keeper, because I don't want to attach them to the cards too soon, because then they're like more like out in the air, and I want them to always be like super fresh and yummy. So that's my story on how you can get past the single act of giving somebody cash, you know, register, a girl at the cash register, somebody at Lowe's that has helped you find the widget of all gadgets, you know, just like, hey, and one thing that you can say is, like, you can't really say this to a guy, but if it's somebody that works there, I'm like, do you carry a purse? And they're like, yeah. Oh, good. This is going to make, and then I explain how they put one in and give 4 to somebody else. I'm like, oh my God, you are going to love what this does for your purse. Now, if somebody actually has a purse, you could say, oh, cute purse. I have something to make it even yummier. And then you give them the whole Fragrance Fairy packet. So that's how you get past. So let me know if you have any questions about that.
So, Dawn, I have a feeling that there are going to be many people that say, can you share your fairy card with us?
I may consider doing that. So yeah, I'll figure out how to do that.
And one of the things that, you know, I think we're all stressing on is making things our own, right? So just give us kind of a synopsis as to what you're saying on there. I'm assuming it's you're being a fairy. You're going to share, you know, 4 of these samples.
Now this is just 4. This is postcard size, 4 on a single sheet of paper. You could use colored paper if you want. You don't need to. I use colored paper because different colors in my business world mean different things. So if I'm grabbing the purple, that's for Scentsy samples. If I'm grabbing the whatever, that's, you know, some other task. But it says, and I found a little graphic of a little fairy. You can find fairies everywhere. You have been nominated to be a fragrance fairy. Have fun passing these yummy scented shapes. Now, if you're not buying shapes, you don't have to say shapes. But I said yummy scented shapes to friends, family, and coworkers who may also like a nice smelling purse. Want more? Spiced on with my phone number or my Facebook and my, you know, all your stuff. So, but you have to explain to them, this isn't a product that Scentsy sells. This is something I made just for you so your purse will smell good. But it's with Scentsy wax. And like I said, I always do. You got a good look at that, how it's like pretty. Make them interesting, like not just a piece of red felt. See, you do the strips, because I have a whole YouTube channel on how to do these felt dipped samples the most efficient way. But say you do the 2-inch by 1/2 inch that I recommend in my videos, because that's cheap and you can get 80 of them from a bar. Well, if you're doing 3 cents, holy moly, you're only using 1/3 of a bar. But you take the little strip and you fold it in half, kind of pinch it down, and then you dip the middle real quick, a very shallow dip, eek, and bring it up. Okay, so then when you unfold it, the middle is a color. Okay, now you're going to lay that on your parchment paper or foil, and it's going to firm up real quick. Then you pick it off and you hold it by the one end and you dip the one end in your other fragrance, tappy, tappy, shaky, shaky. Then dip your other end, tappy, tappy, shaky, shaky. Now you have 3 scents, and it's not in a shape, because some people, I mean, I'm paying like $4 or $5 for 50 of these shapes. I'm not hand cutting shapes. But when I do cut strips, I use the rotary cutter, which looks like a pizza cutter, and there's a mat for that. So you can do this so ridiculously affordably. I don't want anybody to say, oh, I can't do that because I don't want to pay for shapes. You don't need to do shapes. You can do strips. You can do squares, but keep them small so they're not sucking up a ton of your wax. But that's my Fragrance Fairy little statement. And I buy some 5 by 6 inch bags that I have for something else that I slip that into. But you could put it in a regular sandwich bag. You don't need to get like too fancy. Any other questions on that?
Oh, I think I'm good. Ladies,
Okay,
do you have anything else you
cool.
want to talk to her about?
High
Okay.
five. Hey,
Uh,
Dawn.
Yes.
Dawn also does awesome painting parties because she is talented at painting.
Oh,
And
we
people
love
come
painting
and hang
parties.
out at her house that she doesn't know to paint with the incredible Dawn. So she meets a lot of really cool people just by sharing her talents with her community. I'm just saying.
Well, and it's not really a talent. It's something that I managed to pick up because I'm real OCD. So I'm like, oh, measure in this far, measure over that far, up, down. Yeah, I do have random women over to paint at my house and drink wine. And one of the things they get to do is they get to take home Scentsy samples. And I let them pick the flavor of the night. You know, which do you want in the bathroom and which do you want in the living room? And they get all excited and then they want to see a book and you know how that goes. So thank you for bringing that up because I can't join a mom's group because I'm not a mom. So I have to join other kinds of groups.
That's good. And you know what? I think it's good to point out that both of them are finding means outside of Scentsy to bring people into their lives, right? And one of the things that I want to have Katie continue with, because this is going to be part of what she's talking about, is, you know, once Dawn has her sample and once she has handed it to somebody or told somebody that they're the fairy, there's going to either be some type of conversation that needs to be started. And a lot of times that's where we get stuck. You know, a lot of times we hand out that sample and we're like, oh, thank you. Hopefully you don't ask me any questions because I don't, you know, want to have much more of a conversation than that. So Katie, if you would continue for us with all of the things that you're going to talk about as well, but having that be included, you know, how to start conversations with people and at different venues and that sort of thing.
Well, what I really wanted to talk about today was when new people get started, especially, and even beyond that, the thing that they don't seem to realize is that the best way and the most organic way to grow beyond your network is by actually utilizing the connections that you have in your network. So many people are focused on outside sources and instead of just asking for referrals. And when I'm working with a new team member, that's something that I really hit home on is you are going to find tons of new contacts by utilizing the contacts that you have and their connections. What really started all of this for me was when we were at Leadership, oh gosh, like 3 years ago, and we had Bob Berg. Do you guys remember Bob Berg? Bob Berg, B-U-R-G is his last name. He wrote a book called Endless Referrals, and that is one of my favorite books. I reference it quite a lot. I actually was trying to pull up a quote. I was thinking about it too late. I was trying to pull up some of his quotes, but I'll see if there's something in a second. But his book is awesome. You absolutely should read it. It's going to help you become a more solid referral requester. So let's talk about that. So when you're getting started, or even now, maybe you've been with Scentsy for a while. That's cool. This is going to apply to you too. You want to pull out your list of 100. You want to pull out your address book. You want to go through your contacts in your phone. You want to go through your friends list in your workstation, anywhere where you've got contacts. And you want to spend some time. Like, I'm not saying you're going to spend 5 minutes on this task. This is going to take quite a bit of time, but it is very much going to be worth it. You need to invest some time in analyzing each of your contacts. Now, a lot of people don't understand, well, analyzing them, what am I looking for? So these are the kind of things you're looking for. You're looking for, just to summarize, you're looking for ways that that friend, that acquaintance, that family member can introduce you to more people. So some things off the top of my head that you would be looking for. You would be looking for other direct selling consultants. I have a girl or a guy from each direct selling association company who is my go-to. I'm not saying I shop. I really don't shop much in direct sales at all because I don't want the waters to look murky or muddy. So I really don't host parties or do anything like that with other direct selling companies. However, I am an avid event referral type person. So I have one person from each company that I consider to be my go-to. And so if I have an event on my schedule and I know that there's not a Pampered Chef girl there, I will make sure to reach out to my Pampered Chef girl and tell her. And she does the same for me. So you want to have one person from each brand that you are loyal to that is your event referring person. So that's one thing you're looking for. You're looking for other direct selling consultants. You're looking for people who have connections in your community. Someone who is maybe on the city council or on the chamber, or people who have connections. Like, people are always asking me, how do you find so many events? Because events are huge for me. And I do these tiny events, but they are so awesome because they lead me to new contacts all the time. And people are always asking me, how do you find these small events? And the truth is, honest to God, it's from referrals from these two sources. It's from other direct selling consultants that I have relationships with, and we help each other out, and these people that have connections in the community. I have friends who I've met through Sensi who have nonprofit organizations, and I am their Sensi person. They bring me every single time. You know, these are the kind of things I'm talking about. So who has community connections? Think about that. Who do you know? Who's on your Facebook friends list? Who's on your list of 100? Who's in your phone that has community connections that you can utilize? And you shouldn't just have places on this list or people on this list. You should also have places. Your dentist, your OBGYN, your kid's doctor, every place, your attorney, whatever, your accountant, wherever you go throughout your year. Even if you only go there once a year, who cares? You still have a relationship with those people. You're choosing to be loyal to that company or that person or that business, your hairdresser. You know, there's so many places that can be on your list as well. You're looking for people who have connections through any organizations that do fundraisers. Dance, soccer, football, baseball, softball, cheerleading, choir, SGA, FHA. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on of organizations or clubs that do fundraisers. I guarantee you're going to find a ton of people in your list who have these kind of connections. Let's see what else. You're looking for just people who work in a big office because you're going to approach them about doing basket parties. People that you know are in some type of a club, like maybe like my father-in-law, he golfs all the time, right? So I've had him give his golf buddies groom samples. And I was specific and said, hey, I know you golf with these guys once a week. Can you give them these groom samples for me? I think they'd really like it. So thinking about who do you know that runs in circles? Maybe they have like a bingo group that meets once a week or twice a month or whatever. That's the kind of things, just off the top of my head, that you're looking for when you're analyzing your list of 100. Because that list, your contacts, it is the lifeblood of your business. It's like literally a river, right? And every single name on that list is an opportunity for you to jut off and maybe connect to a whole nother stream. Maybe develop a little pond or a big lake, or it could be a dead end. You're the one who's going to determine that. This is the thing that you have to understand about your business. You are at the driver's seat. You hold the wheel. You press the gas. You're the only one who controls how well you utilize the contacts you have. Okay, so let's talk about asking. That's the scary part, right? Like, a lot of people will sit down and they'll write it all out and make their notes. Okay, I'm going to talk to my friend Susie about Timmy's soccer team. You know, people will write the notes all day long, but will they take the action? And that's where you've got to remember why you're doing this. Because when you're about to step out and do something that is scary, you've got to remember, why is it worth it? Why is getting on the phone? Why is sending that email gonna be worth my fear? Like, why is overcoming that fear gonna be worth it? And that's where your why is important. Side note. So Get yourself pumped up. Remember why you're doing this. Remember that vacation that you want to earn for your family, or your car payment that you want to make this month, or the incentive trip that you want to earn to the Dominican. Remember why you're doing this. Pump yourself up and do it. Make sure you do it with your notes in front of you. So let's say that you're reaching out to your friend Susie because her son is on the soccer team. It's so easy, guys. All you have to do is call Susie up and say, hey, Susie, I'm trying to expand and meet some new people to get my Scentsy business off the ground, or to take my Scentsy business to the next level. So I wanted to know if you could give me the contact information for the person at Timmy's soccer league who would be in charge of fundraising. I want to talk to them about doing a Scentsy fundraiser. That's not difficult at all. You're asking a person you have a connection with, and this is why, like they said earlier, connections and relationships are so important, because if you're going to ask someone something, you've got to have a relationship, right? So asking Susie that's so easy. And the same would apply for any of those scenarios. You are simply utilizing that connection to meet those new people. So that is really what I wanted to talk to you guys today about. And it is seriously the most organic way to grow beyond the people that you know. And of course, I could talk about this subject, as I'm sure all these other ladies on this panel feel the same way, but I could talk about this subject for hours, because there are so many ways to do it. I mean, social media, hello. Have you guys seen before when someone will post a picture of their face with the words, am I your Scentsy consultant? Share this post. You'll be so glad you did. Like, I get leads from that. You know, there's so many ways to do it. You just got to take the action and do it. But I would say that this is definitely a very foundational step, something that you need to be doing. And you need to be doing it yesterday, not today, not a week from now, not 2 weeks from now. You need to be doing this yesterday. Let's get it going so you can have an awesome fall.
Yeah. Awesome, Katie. Those are really, really valuable points. We all talk about that list of 100. I think sometimes we forget about it. And even people that have been in Scentsy for some time, there are times that we need to go back to that list of 100 and revamp it and revisit it and reconnect with some of the people that were on the list before that you've kind of lost track of, or maybe add new people because now you're part of these groups and part of these communities that are building more relationships. So I think that that's really important. The other thing that Katie mentioned is your why, and that's kind of going to go into what I'm going to talk about tonight on my piece, is that there are strong validations, there are strong, what's the word I'm looking for? It's been kind of proven that if you know what your why is, and you know why you're doing what you're doing, and one of the things that I want to remind you guys is a why is not necessarily a tangible thing. A why is based on an emotion. And once you get to that emotion, that's when you start to realize that all of these things that we're doing, these goals that we're reaching and making, are going to get us to that why. And if you can connect with that, all of these things that these ladies are talking about are going to be a little easier, because you're going to be much more motivated to go ahead and do that and to kind of step outside of that comfort zone, which I call an anxiety zone, because the only reason we're in the comfort zone is because we don't want to leave it, because we're anxious about what's on the outside of it. So just remember that your why and how you connect with that is going to be vital to how you proceed with your business. So one of the things that I want to talk about is what I call the Pay It Forward program. And it's a little bit interacted with everything that the ladies said tonight. It's a pretty simple, easy way to get their attention, to share the experience with them. And basically all you're doing is taking a warmer, and all of us have this because we got it in our kit. So if you go back to the basics of having just what you had in your kit, which is a warmer and a bar, and now they have, many other products that are part of it, but take the warmer, take a bar, and go to your dentist office and bring the warmer and set it on the counter and just say things like, hey, I just started a new business. Can you guys do me a favor? And I'm looking for an opinion. That's all I'm looking for. Can we plug this in for 3 days, and I'll come back and get your feelings about it? more than likely they're not going to say no. They're not going to say, no, we can't do that. Matter of fact, that there are times when I've done it, that if they say, well, it's not something that we can have here at the office, but I'll take it home with me. So, you know, there's different ways to get past that portion of it. But then when you come back, now you're having a conversation about how they liked it. You know, and typically there's going to be one of three answers. One, they're going to say, this is not for me. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to have anything to do with this. And you know what? That's fine. You know, or maybe I have a Walmart warmer or a knockoff warmer or something else, and it works perfectly fine for me. Sometimes it's not worth arguing. You know, picking your battles is kind of, you know, if you've already told them that we have amazing wax, the scent throw is really nice, it lasts a long time, it's food grade, it's safe, and all of these things, and they're still not interested. Sometimes it's just, you know, par for the course and you move on. But the other is probably going to be something like, well, I didn't really like that scent. And so when you've come back with your mini testers and you say, well, that's a really good thing because we have 80 plus different scents to choose from. And it's because we don't all have the same sniffer. You know, we're not all smelling the same thing and liking the same fragrances. And then, of course, the third response is, hey, I don't want you to have this warmer back. Can I buy it right now? Yeah, and that's always the best one. But that pay it forward action happens, and this loaning is nothing new, right? The key that has worked for me is as you're preparing to leave, you've gotten your opinion, potentially maybe even booked a party. You know, maybe they didn't like it, maybe they do. But as you're leaving and you turn around and you stop in your shoes and you turn back around and you say, hey, I have one more favor to ask you. Do you know of any other person or maybe another office that might want to do this same experiment? And a lot of times they're going to give you a referral. They're going to say, hey, my sister works at such and such. Why don't you go see her? Okay. Want to give her a heads up for me so that she knows I'm coming? Sure. So that pay it forward program is something that will continually pay itself forward. Hopefully you will continue to get people to refer to people. And when you're dealing with it in a respect of sharing mode rather than selling, you know, walking up to the counter and saying, hey, I have a new business. Would you like to buy or look at my catalog? That's, you know, people get turned off by that. I know I would. I'd be like, no, I'm all set. Thanks. So when you're in sharing mode and you go and you tell them, hey, look, I just want your opinions, whether it's about the unit or about the wax. I don't care what you give me back for an opinion. I want to hear it. And I value your opinion. You know, so when you go into that relationship with that person, whether you know them or not, you have opened up communication rather than closing it down because they're afraid you're going to sell to them. Obviously, when you walk in, they're going to think, well, yeah, eventually she probably wants to sell, but she's not asked me. You know, she hasn't even given me a catalog. She's given me her business cards because she wants to make sure that I have her contact, but she's not selling to me. So yeah, let's go along with this. And I kind of think that goes along with the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and that's the mindset with sharing versus selling. When we're going past our friends and family, we're dealing with people that, one, we may know on an acquaintance level, we may not know them at all, right? So having the mindset on sharing and not being offended when people say, I'm not interested, right? A lot of times the non-interest comes from lack of information. So just keep that in the back of your mind, because most of the time when people say no to something, it's either because they're using somebody else's experience as their own, or they don't have enough knowledge to make a decision on the spot. So that's why it's important to gather people's information so that you can either get them something or share information with them, or, you know, whatever the case may be for that particular situation. And I think what happens is when you go in with a sharing mindset versus a selling mindset, hearing a no actually doesn't sting as bad, you know, because when and I've shared this on this show before, when you share a piece of gum and somebody says no, in the back of your mind, you might be saying something like, well, it's your loss because it's a really good piece of gum, you know? And having that thought process when you are approaching people and they are struggling with saying yes or agreeing to what you're saying, that it's okay for those people to say no. You know, you guys have heard of, I'm trying to think of what their names are. If one of you know, go for no. That's one of the tools that they talk about is let's try to get a bunch of no's, because in the midst of those no's, there's going to be a yes. And that's the fun part. So what happens is you get accustomed to hearing no. And so when you hear yes, it's very exciting. So the mindset of looking at your business or your product or your opportunity as something that you can share based on your own experience or taking somebody else's experience and sharing it is a lot different than trying to sell or push a product onto somebody. And when you take on that mindset, it makes it much easier to get past your friends and family, because for the most part, it's pretty easy to talk to our friends and family. You know, we're going to go up to them and say, hey, look, we started a business. You need to buy from me or whatever you say to your family. But, you know, like Christina said, if you didn't have a launch party, it's going to be a lot more difficult to get outside of that circle. Right? Because now you're going to have to do it organically. You're going to have to go out and talk to people and use some of these ideas that the ladies gave tonight. But when you create your environment on a sharing attitude, on a sharing mindset, on a way of saying, okay, well, I'm going to share this with you because you know what? I enjoy it. Just like I went to the restaurant the other night. It was really good. They had great service. The waitress was impeccably attentive. You're going to share that with people. So why is it that we can't share something we love and we fell in love with, which is the majority of us, because that's why we joined Scentsy in the first place, right? Because we love the product. Why aren't we sharing it that way then? You know, why aren't we talking to people or strangers and listening to conversations where you can insert that information of, oh, you know what? Yeah, this, I do Scentsy and this might be something that would be of value to you. Who knows? I mean, I'm not trying to push that on you, but you just said that you needed some money for, you know, your kids' hockey equipment or whatever, and Scentsy might be able to provide that for you. Or maybe you just said that you show houses. And it's very important that the first thing that people smell when they come in is an appealing scent. Well, hey, I might be able to help you with that. Because I've used Scentsy before, and you know, when you warm blueberry cheesecake, it smells like somebody's baking some blueberry cheesecake, right? So when you share that information with people, it becomes so much more conversational. It's not scripted. It's not something that you have to say, okay, I've got to talk to this person in this way and get that result. It doesn't always work out that way, you know? And so, and I'm primarily talking with people that you have maybe had some conversations, but mainly people that you haven't, you know? So even if you're at the grocery line and you're overhearing a conversation, I do this all the time. People think that I'm crazy, but I do. And I'll turn around and say, oh, I just overheard you say something. I'm sorry for eavesdropping, but you know, you might want to think about this or that or whatever. And somehow Scentsy kind of gets interjected in there somehow. And it's always based on listening to what people are saying and knowing how our business can fit into that situation. When you're selling, you're not listening, you're just spieling information, right? You're just giving information, telling them what they can do with this product, and it may not have anything to do with them. So that's why I feel that it's so important that our mindset is set on sharing rather than selling, so that one, it makes it less intimidating for you as well as the person listening to you. Because people aren't intimidated when you say, you know, I tried this restaurant the other night. It was really good. You got to try it. That's not intimidating. You're just sharing an opinion of information. Well, why can't we do that with our own business? Why can't we do that with Scentsy? We love our product. Why can't we do that? You know? So I think that if you can incorporate that mindset with all of the information that these ladies gave you, that you could have a pretty win-win situation with building relationships and having conversations with people, but listening to them and knowing when it's time to interject your information or your opinion of what we do and what we sell. So hopefully that was helpful as well. We're almost on the top of the hour. Is there anything that you ladies would like to add that maybe was not talked about tonight? I'm sad, and I think we're shorter than normal because Jamie's not with us tonight, unfortunately. And if you didn't hear at the beginning, Jamie and her husband, through their church, went and helped the flood victims. So they have been really, really busy, physically drained, I'm sure. And so that's why she's not with us tonight to share her wisdom. But yeah, go ahead.
I actually pulled up the comments, and
Okay.
there are some questions if you want me to.
Sure, go ahead.
So Kathy R is asking a good question that I actually would love to answer if it's okay. And I'm sure you guys have stuff to add too, but she's saying, can you talk about how to recover from a conversation when people talk about Walmart products and you try to tell them how much better Scentsy ones are, and they say, oh, the Walmart ones are working just fine for me. I've had no problems.
That's funny. I kind of said something about that, but I would love to hear what you say.
So for me, if I'm talking with someone who is enjoying the Walmart wax, I'll tell them, that's great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. If you want to get more time out of your wax, more time in between having to change, you definitely would experience that with Scentsy. And so I explained to them kind of the science behind that, which I learned when I went to boot camp and we had a class with our fragrance team. So basically, Scentsy wax will have anywhere from 30 to 90 different notes that make up that one fragrance. Ones that you can find at Walmart or Target or whatever, they're going to have 20 to 40 notes maximum. So you actually have more notes inside of the wax that we sell. What does that mean? Well, when you warm the wax, the notes are what are being released. The notes are what you smell. So the more notes, the longer the wax lasts. So I would explain to them that you're going to get easily double the amount of time when you use Scentsy wax. So if you want to get more for your money and you want to get more time out of your wax, then you absolutely would enjoy your experience with Scentsy. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So I try to focus on just the money aspect of it and the frequency in which you have to change your wax when you're using that versus Scentsy.
Yeah, I think explaining is a really important part of that if they allow you to.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there are obviously going to be times where they just either don't want to listen or they're already set in their ways, and it happens. And again, like I had mentioned in the other one, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue and let it go. But I think if that situation arises and they don't allow you to explain it in a beautiful way like Katie did, then offer them a free sample and say, hey, you know what? I get it. I understand people want cheap stuff. That's fine. We don't want to pay a lot of money for stuff, but let me ask you to do me a favor or to do yourself a favor. Take this sample, whether you give them a whole bar, it's totally up to you, but say, hey, why don't you just try it? If you don't like it or you don't find it any better, then fine. But we all know by experience of our own and others that once they try, it's kind of hard not to say that it's better. And I know that that may sound a bit biased because we're all Scentsy consultants, but a lot of us, and I know me for a fact, I have tried other brands to see what it was like.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I tried our Scentsy brand on top of that or at a different time, it's kind of a no-brainer. It kind of does it for itself. And I mean, a lot of us say that. Scentsy sells itself. You just either have to get it under their nose or warming. So, if they're really pushing you back and saying, I really like Walmart, say, that's fine. Do me a favor. Try ours. That's all I'm asking. Just try ours.
Yeah, it's genius. Very
well,
good idea.
And the thing is, too, though, is you got to also remember that in that case, there could be an issue of them having a metal warmer or the Walmart warmers, which can technically get a little hotter.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to explain that part when you do give them the bar and say, hey, there is a possibility that your warmer gets a lot hotter than the Scentsy warmers, which means you're burning off the oil a lot quicker.
Faster. Mm-hmm.
So just, you want to keep those things in mind too. So the ultimate situation would be to let them try, do the pay it forward with them and say, here, take the warmer, take a bar of wax, you take it, you try it, and let me know how you feel. Now, obviously, you can't do that with everybody because you might not get it back, but anybody else want to add to that?
I also like try to just remind them too that I'm working for myself in a small business and that, Walmart. I mean, you can go Google Walmart and find horror stories about just things. They could either some people love their Walmart job and that's fine, but I mean, there's people who've been mistreated there and they don't enjoy how Walmart treats their employees and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, you might pay $2 more a bar, but you're helping my kid be allowed to play soccer. Like, he can afford soccer. You're helping us be able to make sure he has clothes when he starts school. Like, I mean, just, you're voting with your dollar, essentially. I mean, you're genuinely giving a huge amount when you buy Scentsy to consultants who are just bettering their lives. So a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, I forgot to think about it that way. So.
Well, and I think because they don't realize that all of us are independent consultants. I mean, yeah, there's a corporation that's creating these products for us, but they're not the ones that are doing the work out here, and they're not the ones that are trying to make a living for our family. So yeah, Christina, you have a point, and I'm sure those situations you would have to feel it out and make sure that it's the right situation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't guilt people I don't know. I mean, but it's just like a friend of mine. I'm like, seriously, like, that Scentsy is my full-time job. Not because, I mean, they don't pay me, like, independently of what I said. It's completely hand in hand,
Right.
I think Orville said once in a call it's 41% of product costs, or what people pay. About 41% of it goes back into commissions.
Wow.
That's not including the amount that goes into other consultant-funded, like, trips or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So they give so much of it back to us. So at the end of the day, 41% of that? So it's just a Walmart bar, but with a nice little donation towards our cost of living.
Well, and if you really think about that price, I mean, darn well that 41% is actually a large amount of percentage within a company to give back to its employees. Yeah. There are very few companies out there, never mind Walmart, but there are very few companies out there that give that percentage back to their employees or to their people that are actually out there doing the thing, whatever it is. Yeah.
And I'm like, in the Walmart bar, what is it, like $3? But after our commissions are paid, a Scentsy bar would be $3. I'm like, so we're not charging you more to give you way more quality. Like, you're getting so much more quality for the product price. Like, if you took our commissions away, we're not even charging you more because of how awesome it is. You're just helping your friends at that point. So usually it's just, I'm like, you're paying literally $3 a bar for Walmart. Who knows where most of that money is going? It's not going to the person who helped you find that in the aisle. It's not going to, anybody in that store. It's not going to anybody. It's going to whoever owns that company making all the millions. They don't care. So, anyway. Oh, and there's this candle wax. Ours is food grade paraffin, if you need to know. So, there's also a really important thing. Most of my friends who have dogs or kids, just knowing that ours is not actual candle wax makes a big difference. So, that's why it's a lot easier if you spilled like a candle on the carpet and then you poured our wax next to it. It would take you way less time to clean ours up than a candle. So it's just not as thick. It's not. Anyway, there's a lot of awesome reasons.
And cool. Christina, I mean, for us, I went through this last night, and it's so difficult sometimes for us as consultants to share the knowledge and the passion and the enthusiasm, or even the, like you're talking about, all of these key points to what we offer. Sometimes it's really hard to get across to other people the beauty in that, like the necessary advantage that comes from having food grade paraffin wax, or that it never gets higher than typical body temperature, or that, it's not going to burn your kids. And if your cat's tail gets swung in, and it's going to, harden on their tail fur, but it's going to come out. Sometimes that's really, really hard to get across to the customer because, one, they don't want to listen, they don't have time, or they don't find it as intriguing as we do because of the fact that we're consultants, right? So we love what we do. We love what we sell. We have a lot of knowledge, like Katie was just explaining with all of the notes that we have within a bar, that may potentially go over people's heads. They might not have a clue what that means, so sometimes it really is going to depend on you listening to the conversation and understanding what will help their trigger point. Like what information do they need to make them, know that Scentsi's better.
Yeah, we don't want to throw it up all over them, but
Yeah.
also, you know what, just using our products, like I have so many consultants who are like, why won't my family buy this? And I'm like, do you use more than just our wax and warmers? Like, do you use the stuff you sell? I mean,
It's
just
true.
using it and having personal experiences with it, it's going to help you sell it about 4 bajillion times better, and it's going to give you super authentic things to say to people.
Oh,
So-
absolutely. And that goes right along with the whole sharing thing. You can't share something if you've never tried it.
And this is not directed at at who made that comment. I'm sure you use Scentsy. I'm just saying, if anyone is
Poor girl.
not you, we're not like, you know what, I bet you don't even use Scentsy. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is not directed at you. There's actually a lot of people in our company who don't use what we have to offer. So
Oh yeah,
that was
totally.
not directed pointedly at you. That was just if anyone else is listening who may, use what we sell, for sure.
Yeah.
It's going to give you
No,
more to talk
I
about.
agree with that. I agree with that. Because what happens is, like, even with me, I love Scentsi's warmer and wax, but ever since they came out with the laundry stuff, that's my favorite product that we sell.
Well,
And I
it's
would never have
amazing.
known that if I hadn't tried it.
I just tried Honeymoon Hideaway for the first time because I was like, I like it in the wax, but it's a little too light. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to even bother with the laundry because it's going to be way too light. I like strong scents. Well, girls, I was impressed. Honeymoon Hideaway is my new fave in the laundry.
I just tried it the other day too, Katie, and I was like, are you kidding me? I never thought it was going to
It's
smell
another
like this
one
on
I
my
haven't
clothes.
been able to pull myself to try.
Oh my
Matt
God,
was
you
like,
gotta try
what
it.
is in this laundry room? It smells so good. I'm like, yeah, that's another. We only have like 10 fragrances, and I've only used like 4 or 5.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Amazing.
Katie, were there any more questions that you could see on our page?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. Well, then I guess it's time for us to wrap up. We're 3 minutes over. I think we did really well. I'm hoping that you all got a bit of value. I think I speak on behalf of everybody here. We always are saying, if we can just give a little bit of value, if we can give a little nugget, a golden nugget that somebody takes away when they come to our show or when we talk to them or any time that we're interacting with other consultants, if we have that ability, then that's what we're hoping to do. And that's why we do this show once a month, so that we can share some of our knowledge. We can make you all more successful, a little less scared to do something, because knowledge is key, right? Once we have knowledge on how to do things or to try things, we tend to do better, right? So go and share the Scentsy love with people, and hopefully we'll see you back here next month. I don't know what date it is. Does anybody look at the calendar real quick?
I got it right now. Hold on.
And while she's looking at that, I want to say congratulations to our dear friend Jennifer Anderson. She promoted to Superstar Director.
Yay!
On August 32nd.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh, Jennifer, that's so awesome. Congratulations, girl.
Yeah, she had to ultra earn that one. We are October 3rd.
Okay. All right, so that's when our next show is going to be. Again, it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check out your own time zone so that you know when we're on. But we will see you all next month. Have an amazing night, everyone. Bye.
Bye.